Recording. Mary, you got it too?
Okay.
Yes, I am recording. Thanks for checking in.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Grow Your Own in Tahoe, Truckee. And tonight we will be talking about potatoes and sunchokes. So can we move to the next slide, please? And how we're going to operate tonight is we welcome questions and comments. Please put them in the chat and we will talk about them at the end of the presentation, just so that everybody can hear clearly. We are going to be muting all the participants during the presentation, and then we'll unmute everybody, open it up for questions and answers. And I do want to emphasize that the University of California Cooperative Extension, UCCE, and their partners in this tonight do not endorse any product that may be mentioned. And we do have some great partners too. Besides the Master Gardeners of Tahoe, we also have UC Davis Tahoe Environmental Research Center and Slow Food Lake Tahoe. We also have the demonstration garden group where participants work together in an informal way to provide information and materials on gardening in the Lake Tahoe and Truckee area. There are 4 demonstration gardens. There's the Truckee Demonstration Garden, North Lake Tahoe Demonstration Garden, Tahoe City Demonstration Garden, and the Tlac State Vegetable Garden at the Pope House at US Forest Service. And I do want to mention that Grow Your Own Tahoe Truckee also includes Carson Valley and Alpine County. So move to the next slide. Our partners here tonight are the Master Gardeners of South Lake Tahoe, Slow Food Lake Tahoe, and UC Davis Tahoe Environmental Research Center. These partners provide science-based classes and education on growing at a high elevation because that can be very tricky. So what we like to do is be sure that people that are participating in the workshop receive the information and support they need on planting and maintaining crops. We will send notes and tips periodically by email to encourage you, sort of check in and see how you're doing. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. And at the end, we will ask you to help us by providing information on how your plants and seeds performed during the growing season. That way we'll have the best information that we can on what grows up here. Next slide, please. So we're probably midway through our workshop series this spring and summer. We've been doing Zoom classes on Wednesdays at 6 to 7:30, and there's a repeat in one of the gardens on Saturday at 10 o'clock, which is the garden up in Truckee. So the garden talks are on Wednesdays, the garden talks are on Saturdays, and then you pick up your plants you pick up your plants on that Saturday. So today and on the 28th of May, it will be in the Truckee garden at, I think that's 10 o'clock a.m. For the talks and the pickup. June 1st and 4th will be squash. So June 1st is the Zoom, June 4th is the in-person in the Truckee garden. June 8th is the Zoom for tomatoes, with the 11th being the talk in the Truckee garden. And then we'll finish up our workshop series for the spring with June 15th herbs, and then also June 18th herbs at the Truckee garden. So next slide, please. Oh, and you can register. Well, oh, maybe can you back up one thing, Heather? If you would like to register for any of the upcoming workshops, you can do that at slowfoodlaketahoe.org/events. And then also, I did want to emphasize that within about a week of when we do the Zoom workshop, a recording will be available also at that website. So thank you. And I think it's really important to remember that we live in such beautiful watersheds for Tahoe and Truckee that it's really important to remember that the way you garden can affect our watershed. So we really want to emphasize to be watershed friendly. Please be aware that your actions do affect your watershed. Nearby creeks, streams, rivers, and lakes can be impacted by the nutrients or chemicals that you apply to your garden. Try to locate your garden away from streams, lakes, or percolation basins. Try to garden away from steep slopes or where runoff cannot be controlled. If you water too much, this excessive watering pushes the nutrients below the root zone and bypasses your plant. So you just end up applying more nutrients than you would really need to. And also remember, what fertilizers do to your plants will also do the same thing for algae in the watershed. So please use the appropriate amount of fertilizer. When and how you apply the fertilizers or amendments can also make a difference, so that you're not just applying it to the runoff directly. So frequent applications of a low ratio fertilizer will work better without affecting the watershed. And also, don't fertilize if there's rain or snow forecasted. So with that, we can move on to our presentation tonight. And while Heather is queuing that up, I'll take a moment to introduce our speaker tonight. I would like to welcome Melissa Guthrie. She is a master gardener from the class of 2017, a dedicated member. She has done several presentations. Oh, well, okay. I was just looking what was on the screen here. She, as a lot of the master gardeners know her, a protege, a good presenter, and a precipitator of many, many Tahoe area grow your own gardens. She's a full-time resident of Tahoe, a small business owner, and a fine art artist. She has a background in critical care nursing and nutrition, over 18 years, and that includes a bicoastal education from Johns Hopkins School of Medicine and University of California, San Francisco. She has a lot of experience and education in solar power, and has a respect for growing your own food responsibly and eating it, even if it isn't that pretty looking. She also has a good working knowledge of healthy soil and water conservation, that we would all be lucky to emulate those kinds of attitudes. Tonight, Melissa will be discussing what varieties of potatoes we picked this year to take to trial in order to provide a growing list of what can successfully be grown in our area, specifically for potatoes. Plus, we're excited this year that we're adding a new edition of Sunchokes. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Melissa, and thank you.
Hi, very nicely done, Cindy. Not an easy job, and I really appreciate it. And you did a brilliant job of all of the things, and including our entry slides that we're including for all of our presentations, just to kind of hammer that home. So really nicely done. So today, potatoes and sunchokes. I've done this a couple years, and it's an ongoing process, but this year really exciting to include sunchokes from a nutritional standpoint, and we'll get to that at the end of the presentation. But this year we also had the benefit of going to for a field trip locally to get our seed potatoes. So onwards. Why potatoes in Tahoe? This is really important because so many people over and over, when I say, sorry, what are you doing, Heather? When I say why, they say we can't grow anything here. We have such a short season. That's not true. Some things grow really well, and it's also the vegetables that we are giving to you are ones that we have tried and know grow well. Kind of fiddly, but I get the easy end of the stick because potatoes grow really well and are not bothered by so many things. You can grow them anywhere. You can grow them on your deck. You can grow them in a raised bed. You can grow them in a felt bag and drag it around all day. Also, potatoes, in addition to sunflowers, sunchokes, they have really pretty flowers, and so they attract pollinators. And with potatoes and sunchokes, they really are like your entryway into growing your own food. Seriously, and there is nobody that can't grow them. Even if you kill them, you still have flowers. So cool facts, a little bit of stuff. The important stuff about growing stuff in Tahoe is really knowing your soil. So potatoes like to grow at elevation, and our whole series is about figuring out what grows at elevation. And potatoes like acidic soil. So you have kind of a yin and yang with sunchokes. So sunchokes like a little bit more alkaline soil, but we'll get there at the end. But potatoes specifically like a little bit more acidic soil. So I put it in the slide, and I've gone over this a couple of times if you've ever watched. So 5.2, 6.2 pH, but that's easily amended with actually lawn waste. So pine needles, wood chips, whatever. So we have an abundance of actual soil that works well with potatoes. So easy, so no extra buying, which is kind of cool. And then it's a compost that you have in your backyard. So you don't have to pay attention. In terms of potatoes, there are about 150 wild species. So that gives them kind of that biodiversity. So they change and learn and grow better. And the more potatoes you grow, the more you'll find out that they incorporate that resistance. So that again, that's why they grow better here. All over the world, there's about 400,000, something like that, cultivated potatoes, which means that they probably grow anywhere all over the world in any country, no matter what. And you just have to figure out which ones grow where. So that's part of our mission, is trying to figure out the ones that, no matter if you're a new gardener, they will always grow. So we're kind of narrowing it down, but you guys are helping us by growing them in your backyard and telling us what happens. Potatoes can grow in anything. I like to tease. If you have an empty cat litter bucket, pretty much if you drill holes in it, potatoes will grow there, depending on the variety. But bag on your deck. Several of my friends know that they come back no matter what outside, and not a lot of pests bother them. And so felt bags, plastic buckets, tires, and I tease that if you forget a sack of potatoes in your pantry, you're gonna have potato plants, which is not a bad thing. Potatoes are cross-pollinated by bees, so we're always encouraging bees, because we don't want them to die, because they're so helpful with so many other crops, including potatoes and including sunchokes. And then even if you don't get a single potato, seriously, if you don't get a single potato, you will have a pretty plant that has purple flowers or white flowers and is luscious and green. So you can't really go wrong. So seed potatoes, a little bit more of the science. The easiest way to grow potatoes is by far seed potatoes. So seed potatoes are actually look like potatoes. So kind of a little bit confusing. So this is a picture of some of the seed potatoes that we went on a field trip to look at in Stockton. So this year's seed potatoes look like that. Different varieties, different colors, but essentially they are mature potatoes that have been left in the ground, and then you will then take them and grow them, and they will be there you go, vegetative propagation, meaning they will be exactly the same potato that you put in the ground. That's what you will get. Kind of different. So they're genetic clones of the mother seed plant, which is the seed potato. It will turn to mush. We'll get to that later. The other way of growing potatoes is actually true seed potatoes, or true potato seeds, sorry, backwards. And those look similar to what you would find on a rose plant, those little round things that look like cherry tomatoes, and they're green. And those are seeds. That is how, if you've ever seen a million potato varieties in the supermarket, that's how you get all those varieties. So bees come and they run around and take stuff from here and go there, and they change the potatoes. Not really a good way of growing potatoes in Tahoe, because that takes a lot more time. So that's why we are offering you seed potatoes that are easy, super easy, trust me, easy. Potatoes are a root storage crop. So they're actually the entire thing, and I will show you a slide of the entire plant, but the entire thing is actually a potato. I know that's weird, but gotta know. If you want the science, gotta know. And it's a storage crop. So essentially the entire plant stores all of its starch and energy in the potato that we then steal from it and kill it. Not nice, but it works well. And then what seed potatoes do is when they're sprouted or chitted, weird words, but it just means the things that you look at when you forget about them in the pantry and they look like aliens, that's what you want. That's what you plant, and that's what makes more potatoes for future. The thing about chitted or seeded potatoes is you at least want 2 eyes. So if you have anything, especially the ones that we're going to give you in the bags, if they have 2 eyes or 2 weird things, you're good to go. If they have 4, cut it in half, and then you have 2 plants. So kind of fun. And if you can't manage to plant your seed potatoes right away, just put them in a paper bag and store them in a very cool, dark place, and plant them within like 2 weeks, something like that. But we can advise you if it gets confusing. So this is some pictures of us going to pick up our seed potatoes in Stockton. We intentionally tried to get to find a place that provided seed potatoes that were local. And in the past, we've had them shipped to us, which was exorbitantly expensive. And this was kind of like a really fun adventure for all of us. And we got a huge tour, and they were super, super nice. They don't sell to the public, so don't call them at all. But if you ever want a tour, want to know more about seed potatoes than I know, go for it. Jason there was really lovely. He walked us through how they sort them and gave us a ton of information about why they're important and how they rotate crops to use water efficiently. And it was really fun. Anyways, so that's where we got them, Stockton. Not that any other seed potato grower is less, but this was such a fun adventure. And he really did, or they really did a good job of giving us a lot of information, just like, so that's where they come from. Your seed potatoes are local. All right, and because of the medical nursing background, I have to go through this because I love this part about it, because potatoes are one of those things that people think, I don't want the starch, I don't, whatever. If you look at this, look at the energy that you get from one potato. Look at the vitamin C you get from one potato. Look at the B vitamins that you get from one potato. And these things are good for your brain. Right there, niacin, thiamine, riboflavin, absolutely fantastic for your brain. In addition to fiber, nobody doesn't need fiber in their gut. They are gluten-free, fat-free, oddly. Nobody would guess that. They have probiotics, so they actually feed your gut. So do sunchokes, and that's kind of what one of the things that I liked about sunchokes is that they feed your gut. So the good immune response in your gut is actually fed by digesting potatoes and sunchokes, for that matter. We'll get to that. And antioxidants. One of the reasons why we pick potatoes that have different colored skins is that antioxidant factor. And cool fact, they have more potassium than a banana. So you can eat a potato or a banana, but I don't know. I'd sometimes rather switch between the two. Can you, somebody asked me, I don't know, years ago, can you survive on just potatoes? I think it was like a kid. Technically, yes. Is it a good idea? No. Because you need more minerals and other stuff, but it was a fun question. So I included that just for fun. Okay. So just for this slide, artistic nature, we took this picture on our field trip to the potato thing. And actually the grates are how they sort potatoes for when you go to the grocery store and you have like itty bitty ones and you have big ones. These are the grates, and I just love the color. But more importantly, potato crops produce worldwide more food than any other crop. So I did not know that, but it's really important to know that when you're growing potatoes, you actually are providing something for your family that's less water, using less water, but actually providing more nutrition and more food. So something to keep in mind. Obviously not my expertise, but a fun thing to keep in mind. Okay, so yeah, again, a huge pile. They were actually not particularly lovely to look at, but we're gonna go into now, how do you plant a potato? Oh, sorry, no, we're gonna go into parts of the potato. Key word here that I drew this picture, and you can see that I wrote inflorescence, not really knowing what that meant. So that's just the flowery part. That that means that it's the process of flowering, which is the pretty part. So even if you didn't even get a potato and you cut it off about right there, you'd still get a pretty plant to put in your kitchen. But if you wait, you will get the seed part, which I talked about, the true seeds right there. Not every plant makes true seeds, and you don't need true seeds. It's just kind of a fun thing. If you ever wanted to grow your own Tahoe potato plant, save those, dry them, save the seeds, plant them. And then call me. And then leaves, this is the leaves are kind of like that, where you get that photosynthesis. So converting light to energy, CO2, so giving off and on energy. And then you have your main stem. And actually this part is the mother, that's your seed potato, but that's your mother plant. So it will rot, but it gives you all that, your plant, all that energy up and down that stem. So really, really important. And then you can see my like silly stuff over here. So potatoes grow from the mother seed potato, which then dies and turns into a bunch of mush after she's given all of her energy to her baby potatoes. Interesting. And then you get the potatoes that grow out horizontally. So this is kind of important when you're digging up your potato plants, because you want to remember that you're digging deep. Don't waste your time. Once you find that mother mushy icky, I've put my hand in it many times and like freaked out. Once you find that, go horizontally. That's where you're going to find all your baby potatoes. I think there's another slide, but there are also, you can usually harvest some little baby potatoes, new potatoes at the top as your potato plant grows, and it will not harm your main potato plant. It'll just make the bigger one, it'll make the ones that are left behind bigger at the bottom. So, but you'll just have fewer of them. So just a fun fact. Okay, stages of planting potatoes. So right now in May is like the perfect time in Tahoe or our surrounding area to plant your seed potatoes in order to get a crop in late September, early October, I don't know. But the soil actually needs to be 45 degrees. Not that you need to check it. Don't go out there and check it. But just keep in mind, if we have a bunch of snow, don't plant your potatoes out there. They'll be unhappy. They might grow, but they will be unhappy. And we've had changing seasons, so I'm reluctant to kind of say, oh, at this time, do this, because you kind of have to have a feel for it. But generally in May, plant your seed potatoes. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. And then you want to plant them in full sun. Our sun is really hot here, but potatoes like it, and they do well. After the hard frost, obviously, your soil needs to be, I think I mentioned this before, and there'll be a subsequent slide about fertilizers, but they don't need a lot. They just, well, anyways, we'll get to that. You can add decomposed matter. Like I said, abundance of pine needles and wood chips are readily available and free. So I usually work those into even my raised beds and my outside beds, and even your felt bags on your deck. You have it, use it. Second part, during the early stage of sprouting, you'll see like these kind of halfway through here green stems. And depending on the type of potato, some of the stems will have like a little bit of purplish color or white color. Just depends on your potato, and that's kind of fun. It's also a marker of what type of potato you have growing. So you are going to continue to hill those up as you go, and we'll also get to that. So cool soil temperatures are best for evenly tubers being what you're going to eat. They kind of like that, they don't like you to mess around with their environment. So they like even watering, even temperatures, and that's sometimes difficult, but that again is one of the benefits of growing them in Tahoe. After you plant your seed potato, they usually start forming in about 3 to 4 weeks. You can put your hands in there and dig around, but I wouldn't recommend it. Just let them go. And then the third stage is when you see those flowers. When you see flowers on the top of your plants, that's a good sign that you actually have edible potatoes growing. So, and you'll see the stems and the foliage growth, which is kind of fun. I can't even see my slide. So that we'll get to water, but this is the time when you kind of want really even watering, because then you'll get the best potatoes at the end. Okay, 4th stage, yeah. So the 4th stage is towards the end of the season, and this is when you're going to kind of gradually decrease your watering. This is usually around, I don't know, late August, early September. So you want to decrease your watering, and the reason behind that is so that your plant starts to kind of concentrate into making potatoes rather than concentrating on making green stuff. And then the 5th stage is when you see that foliage, and I get calls or emails every year, and they're like, what do I do? My plant looks horrible. It's awful. It's yellow. It's flopped over, whatever. Not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually your plant saying, I am done being beautiful. I would like to concentrate on storage for next year. which is then your potatoes that you eat all winter. So that's not necessarily bad. The problem here is that what people like to do is then add more nutrients or add more water. Don't do that. Don't do it. Just let your plant's doing what it has to do. So it's hard, but it's kind of like sending a teenager off to college. Just have to let them go. And then last is harvest, and that's usually, October here. Obviously, with climate change, we have no idea when that will be on a year-to-year basis, but usually it's then. And you can carefully have a potato Easter egg hunt, which I have seen adults have more fun digging in the dirt than children. But I would encourage you, if you have kids, to do this with them, because it is like the happiest thing ever. And then they get to bring them in and make, I don't know, French fries, mashed potatoes. If you want a kid to be happy about gardening, start with potatoes. It's really easy. And then I know this is there's a lot of stuff about storage, but if you leave them in the ground a little bit later, the skin on potatoes forms a bit better. And then if you take them out and then leave them out and in the dry air for a bit, I don't know, a day or so, the skin actually preserves them better. And then I put them in the refrigerator, and I have had potatoes from I don't know, October. I've eaten them with my husband in April. Yeah, April. Actually, April. If I put in the refrigerator and store them correctly after they've cured. So it is really one of those crops that you can work through the entire year, which is kind of cool nowadays. Okay. Potatoes. So one of the things about potatoes is they like to be planted. They like to be hilled up. And so there's two different ways. If you're planting them in a container, it's easy. You just put in a couple inches of dirt, throw the potatoes in there, a couple inches of dirt over it, and then you hill up. If you're planting them out in your yard, because there aren't a lot of pests that bug them, I like the idea of doing them in rows and then planting them and digging deep and then putting all the dirt out to the side, because I'm lazy. Then as they grow, you can just kind of shove it over the plants as they go. One of the things about hilling potato plants is when you hill them, you get more potatoes, because when you hill the stems, so essentially it seems counterintuitive, but you're hilling, there's a long stem here, and you're throwing dirt over almost the 1/3 the top of the plant. So then it starts making, that plant then sends out more shoots and makes more potatoes. So when I was talking about new potatoes, those are the new potatoes. Even if it gets late in the season, you can still get those new potatoes from the top. So it is beneficial to do that. Once it stops flowering and starts looking sad, don't. You can hill, but you're not helping yourself. You're just making a bigger hole that you have to dig. Sorry. So yeah, continue to hill up the plants until the flowers, essentially the flowers die or drop off. Then you're kind of in that, that's all we're going to get from this. And you can read the slide from there. I could have left that. Oh no. Oh, so this one, it seems like I had a bunch of pictures and I showed them last year, but they were little picture, or maybe I staggered them. Anyways, that's kind of how you put your potatoes in. So you when you get the potatoes from us, our sweet potatoes, you're going to see that they're like ugly and have weird growth things. Those are what you want to point up. Remember, you don't want to stress your potato out. You don't want your seed potato to have to grow under and around and take a tunnel to get up to the surface. Put all the ugly little chitted bits towards the surface, and then your seed potato will grow faster. Yep, there we go. I figured it out. All right, so this is kind of like the second stage. So this is when it comes up, and you can see that's a thing that's on our deck. That's probably, I probably hilled that up a bit once at least. But once you get to the top of the edge of your container or your bed, you can stop hilling. And then, oh, that I wanted to share you a little bit about the flowers. So they come in all different colors, purple, white, yellow, but they're really pretty. And this is kind of when your potato plant is trying its hardest to make you some really tasty mashed potatoes under the ground. 4-stage. Yeah, this is when it's like a full, you can see the kind of the flowers are dying back, and it's really trying its hardest. And it's like, dude, stop bothering me. Don't, and this is when you would start to decrease the water that you give it, because you're essentially just giving it more water to grow leaves rather than potatoes. And this is the 5th stage. This is when people call and they're scared. They're like, what happened to my potato plant? What am I doing wrong? And this is fine. This is when you walk away, stop watering, don't do anything. It's ugly, leave it alone. It's hard. That's like, what is that? The post-grad college stage? I don't know. And then hopefully you will get to this stage where you get that potato Easter egg hunt. These were from a couple of years ago, including one of the garlic. And I included that because garlic and potatoes are yummy together, but this is what they look like. You just rinse them off. And these I would essentially just throw in the refrigerator in a dark bag, and I'd have them all over winter in Tahoe. Oh, did I miss one? Yep. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. This one is small, but that's actually what a potato seed pod looks like. And I cut it in half, and you can kind of see it. And if you dry the seeds, you can try, because of our short growing season, good luck and let me know how you do. But I do have some in my yard that I'm trialing, but essentially that's what a true seed pod looks like. So similar to like a rose, whatever it is. Yeah, rose hips. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so just a quick thing about some of the things with potatoes. Solanine. So if you've ever seen a potato that has been out in the sun, it turns green. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just your potato's way of protecting itself from the sun. Kind of like when you get really tan or sunburned, if you can equate those two. So nightshades do this. It's not necessarily a bad thing. If you leave your potatoes out when they're curing out in the sun too long, they will get that kind of green tinge. It's not horrible, but it can get you, might possibly have a bellyache. The easiest way of fixing it, if you have your potatoes, your precious potatoes that you have grown and loved, is to just cut that bit out. Now, when that gets to this stage, no, sorry, throw them out. So when they're like that, eat them. When they start sprouting like this, grow them. If they're like that, no. Nope. And the easiest way of protecting your potatoes is, again, just hilling them up. So sunlight and potato spuds are not friends. Plants, yes. Spuds, not. This is, you can see this on the internet everywhere, but for the most part, this is like the cool way of fertilizing plants, because all of us eat our bananas at least once or twice a week, maybe, hopefully, good, do that. And the peel, rather than throwing it in the trash, because we don't have a really great way of composting in Tahoe without bears coming in your yard and eating your children. Not really, but if you throw your banana peels in a jar with water with a lid, and you can use a recycler jar. I prefer pickle jars, dual purpose, and add water. You can add some bone meal and then just sit it there for a couple days, and then that's like your homemade miracle fertilizer. And it actually does work. It adds potassium, nitrogen, phosphorus, a magnesium in the liquid, and it actually is a slow release because it's in a water, so it soaks in right away and stays there. So that's your cool kid trick. You can go other directions. This is the scientific part of it. I prefer slow release because if you put it on wet soil, if you're picking a fertilizer, if you put it on wet soil, then the wet soil will keep it there rather than if you put any fertilizer on a dry soil, and then it tends to wash away when you turn the sprinklers on, which is unfortunate. So if you're going to pick something, especially for potatoes, I like the 5-10-10 organic, and look for, if you're going to buy it, a slow release. But I like the banana stuff. That's kind of what I use. The components of that are the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So pretty basic there. And you can see, I thought these are fun. If you forgot from those horrible chemistry classes, there you go. So yeah, a reminder, and you can throw that around at dinner parties. Everyone will be thrilled with that. So it does stay in the soil better. It doesn't wash away. And remember from the first couple slides, we were really aware of what we wash into the lake, because it does any of the fertilizers that we put on our lawns that don't stay in our lawns then do promote bad stuff in the lake. And we're kind of all really starting to be very conscious of that. So it's a big thing. I know that's like boring, but super important. Okay. The other thing is carbon sequestering. And so if the soil retains more of that biomass, then you're actually keeping the carbon components in the soil rather than letting them out and becoming a problem with global whatever warming. I don't know. I'm not bad. This is not my area of expertise, not an expert. A couple of things about the components of fertilizers and what plants need are like nitrogen. But people go, I don't know why nitrogen? Why can't I put nitrogen on at the end? Well, you can, but you're going to get a huge plant and no potatoes. So specifically with potatoes, nitrogen is really important in the beginning stage of the plant. And then you want it to taper off. Again, when you want to use a slow release fertilizer, you're giving the plant what it needs at the beginning. So most of them are conditioned to release the nitrogen first off, and then release stuff for the plant later. So specifically, nitrogen is what causes plants to grow big and green and great. Not great at the end because you won't have any potatoes. Potassium is kind of like the support system for the stem of the potato plant. So the potassium helps things in an ionic, cationic way of going up and down the stem of the plant. So really important. That's like your highway for nutrient and water transport. It also does provide a good deal of frost protection. So for up here, if you have a soil that has, for potato plants specifically, a good deal of steady potassium, you have a good chance of weathering any frost, no matter when they come, even if it's in July. So, and then phosphorus. I kind of put this in two different colors. Because phosphorus is really important for yield. So that's where you get, if you have a substantial or amount of phosphorus that's good, you'll have a better number of potatoes that are healthier. One of the things to look at, if I get every once in a while, I get a picture, somebody says, what is wrong with my potato plant? And they'll be like yellow leaves and it's too early. So say it's like, I don't know, late June, early July. It's usually because there isn't quite enough phosphorus in their soil. So, and that's easily amendable. Although I don't have a particular way to direct you, but that's actually the problem. One of the other things that the spuds in the ground are sometimes have problems with is something called scab. So if you've ever pulled up potatoes and they have like little like yucky black pimply things on them, it's because they don't have quite enough calcium. And that's easily also, that's, you can still eat them, doesn't matter, scrub them off, doesn't matter. It is scab, it's not something horrible. But one of the easy fix, again, I like my easy fixes, is if you have an old expired jar of calcium tablets, mash them up and throw them in the soil in your bed, and then plant your potatoes there next year. Kind of an easy fix, not official, but it does work. You have to trust the potato lady of Tahoe. Okay, just going through some of one of the components of all of our presentations is like what to look for. Gophers with potatoes. They love their tubers. It's one of that's probably the most predominant problem, unfortunately, but they're easily prevented if you do beds outside and you put, before you put the beds in, you put chicken wire or really small mesh wire, then they can't really get in. And the gophers are lazy. So they're not going to jump over the wire. If they can't dig through the bottom, they move along. So in my experience, although I'm sure there are people that have some very, very, very persistent gophers, my dad would probably disagree with me, and he would say that they're horrible gophers, but in general, rabbits and squirrels will nibble on your plants, the upper tops of your plants or potato plants, but they have a bellyache, and then they go back and hopefully tell their friends that they have a bellyache. And although they will make your plant look yucky, they won't kill your plant. So leave it just fine. And chipmunks will quite frequently toss your seed potatoes out and replant them. They're not damaged. They're just, chipmunks are irritating. They just like to make a mess. So replant them, move it along. The thing that is kind of damaging is aphids, but I have found that you can just hard spray them. It's the same thing with tomatoes, is if you hard spray them with a jet spray on your hose, if you're vigilant, it's not so much of an issue. And also, you can use an insecticidal spray. I kind of like to go with the high-powered water spray because I got to water them anyways. And if I do it in the heat of the day, I kind of can get most of them off, but that's a choice. You can use insecticidal soaps or just dish soap, really, really diluted dish soap. And that actually will work as well, in my opinion. Okay, so now none of you are going to pay any attention to me because that picture's so cute. So I'm just going to have a glass of water. All right. Potting soil. So when you're going to plant your stuff up here, if you have good soil, or you just go to the local garden store and get some good soil and put it in one of our in a felt bag or a kitty litter bucket or a raised bed or even your yard, you're good to go. I would then mulch it and then add some pine needles and whatever else, wood chips, and you'll probably be fine. Before you plant your sweet potatoes, I would really, really water it well, not soaking wet, but so that it's moist. Potatoes like moist. They are not fans of the pool, so not soaking. Some of the other things that you can add are poultry manure. I have not used this, but I know that Dave Long likes this for his gardens, and potatoes kind of like a lower pH. So, and then sunchokes like the reverse. So it's a balance. But poultry manure is actually useful in lowering the pH, so it makes it more acidic. If you have alkaline soil, if you're going to do that, then don't plant your sunchokes if you're adding poultry manure, because they actually like a little bit more alkaline soil. Pine needles are really good for loosening and an easy, cheap, God knows we have enough of them, way of making soil more porous, and so water actually goes better, absorbs better. And then wood chips, goodness knows we have enough of those too. And then bone meal, which if you have to adjust nitrogen in the first stages of your potato growing or sunchoke growing, is really good. And that also provides phosphorus for that middle section. I have not had to use that, but these are some options for you, especially if you have like really crappy soil. So I like to think of soil and amendments as candy and shelter. So candy is like stuff that you add, and the shelter is like the pine needles and wood chips. And it's a cute picture. This year, okay. So this year we have way too many different potato varieties, given last year's fingerlings that didn't, well, I didn't think they did so well. Some people did. It didn't make me happy. So we have a Sifra, which is kind of, you'll know because we usually pick our potatoes by the color so that you guys can pick them out. You can find them pretty easily. Sifra. So, and I actually have some. Okay. You can't see them, but
If you hold them in front of you.
oh, there we go. The Sifra is kind of reddish on the outside, and then there's a Constance that's white on the outside and white in the inside. And then there's a reds. I don't have that one. Oh, it's okay. There's a red Lesotho that's kind of looks like, no, that one. A red Lesotho looks like kind of like a finger. Thank you, trusty assistant. The red Lesotho kind of is looks like a fingerling, but is actually a waxy early potato. And then the Prince of Orange is orangey. Okay, orangey. Another wax potato. And then we are trialing, very excited for if you're a potato lady, the russets this year, which is huge. And we'll see how those do. Those generally don't take a long time, so we're hopeful, but we'll see. And again, all of these came from a local in California seed potato producer. So we're kind of happy about trying to do things without driving across country and using up resource and gas. Moving on. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay. And can I put a shout out for making mashed potatoes? Okay. The colors. I'm going to skip the slide. The colors are just more about the nutritional benefits of potatoes, and this is in the presentation. Feel free to look at it later. I do want to get to sunchokes, and I'm being overly talkative. Okay, sunchokes. Okay, they will make you fart. Okay. I don't know why they're called Jerusalem artichokes, but I did do some research, and it sounds like it's like a corruption of the Latin Hispanic name for sunflower, which is girasol, or English, which is artificial. They call it an artificial sunflower, which makes sense because the flowers are really, really tiny, and is a corruption of the Italian girasol. Oh, wait, I have to look at this. Artichoke in Italian. It can be invasive, so we're going to talk about where to plant them, but be careful. But it's worth it, trust me. It is actually a native plant, and the Native American Indians used it as a main crop thing because of its nutritional value and the fact that it grows so well in our North American area, specifically Canada and the northern US. It is a perennial. It will come back every year, and you are wise if you plant it in an area where you can contain it. Trust me. I have this guy. So I'm wait, I'm looking. It's an infomercial, right? That's how they do it, right? So anyways, they're ugly and horrible looking, but they're kind of pretty. Look. And they come up and they have little furry leaves and a long stem and a really ugly thing. And they come back every year. and they are extremely, extremely nutritious. We're kind of backwards in Tahoe in that we plant them in spring and harvest them in fall, but in really, really warm climates, you can actually plant them in fall and harvest them in spring. So you can see they do best 60 to 90 degrees. That's their happy zone. But they do really well here. So again, potatoes and sunchokes that's a good vegetable if you're just trying, and they're easy as anything. They do tolerate most soil. So I have never amended any sunchoke bed ever with anything because they literally don't care. They kind of go, whatever. As long as you give them a little water. Again, they don't like to be water. They don't like to be soggy. They don't have any pests. The only pest that I've ever seen is aphids. And again, that is rare. And again, easily controlled with a jet spray from your hose when you notice them. Even if they get totally infested, you're not going to have a huge problem with sunchokes. And they will come back and you will get sick of sunchokes. We'll get to the farty part. Sunchokes. Okay. Again, the Latin name, I'm not going to pronounce that because now I'm tired and I have to hurry. They have so people ask, why would I grow a sunchoke? They're ugly. Who's ever heard of a sunchoke? They're really, really delicious. And you can actually serve them or cook them or eat them any, seriously, full stop, anyway. You can make them into chips, roast them, mash them, make them into chutney, pickle them. They don't actually care. One of my favorite ways is to make a chutney, because you can just use a recycled jar and throw it in the refrigerator. So mustard seed, honey, garlic, turmeric, a bit of cider vinegar, chilies, and a bay leaf, and walk away. And then you just make a cute label and give it to friends, and they don't even know that it's a sunchoke. But they do have a mild, nutty flavor, kind of like a cross between a jicama and a water chestnut. And they do well in terms of nutrition if you boil them with your potatoes and make a mashed potatoes. See, potatoes and sunchokes. Okay. They don't store well. So if you're going to store them, I just leave them in the ground and then dig them up when you want to eat them, or eat them within, if you're going to dig them up, eat them within 10 days and throw them in a paper bag in the refrigerator. They do, again, like potatoes, this is an ongoing theme. They do attract pollinators because they have really pretty flowers, and you can cut them and use them as a bouquet. Even if you decide you don't want to eat your sunchoke, even if you cut the bouquet, you're still going to have a sunchoke, and it will grow back and you will have more flowers. The other thing, it's called, in a nutrition world, it's called the diabetic's potato. It has inulin, so it digests differently, which is why you have flatulence. But the nutritional benefit outweighs that. And if you don't eat an entire bag of sunchokes, you will get accustomed to it and it won't be a problem. So I say the key is adapt, eat a little often. Don't eat the entire bag. So adapt, and but because it does actually feed as a probiotic, prebiotic to your gut. So it's one of those immuno-friendly vegetables, if you will. Okay, here's I copied this. You can look at it. We have two different varieties this year, and we do have a limited supply. So we have the red Vesk, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, and then Lola, which is the white one, and named after, I'm sure, after one of my motorbikes. I'm kidding, but anyways, the white one is the Lola, and then we have the red one. And we do have a limited supply, so please ask. We won't be giving them out to everyone, because we do have just not a ton of them. Again, nutritionally, they're really high in iron, potassium, calcium, magnesium, indigestible fiber, the part that makes you poop. Good. And that is actually beneficial for lowering cholesterol. It does act as a prebiotic, lowering cholesterol, and like potatoes are better for diabetics. My mouse shouldn't have said that out loud. Again, similar to artichokes and not related to artichokes, again, they are sweeter at the end of the season after the first really hard frost. So I would recommend letting, just like potatoes, let it look like a sad, pathetic plant and then dig them up. Brush them off, rinse them, and then put them in a breathable bag. And again, they are great plants if you have tender, pretty flowers, because they're a great windbreak for sensitive plants, but they can be invasive. So dedicate a spot or put them in a pot. All right, this is silliness, and I'm gonna have water. My built-in water break. Okay. Potato packs. As if you've done this before, you know that we're going to give you a paper bag with instructions and your potatoes. That's the list of the potatoes, also planting tips. And then there are a couple contact information. If you have questions, I encourage you to take a screenshot or a picture with your phone, so you have those. But if you know any of us in the program, we're really easy to get a hold of, and we love to talk about this incessantly. So easy squeezy. We also do want that. We want to know what happens. We want to know which ones did well. We want to know the pictures. We want to have pictures of your kids doing potato Easter egg hunts and all that, because it's really fun, and it's helpful for us in a lot of ways. Again, potato books. Okay, so potatoes. This is potato week. So we will be doing, you can pick up, if you sign up for the classes, then or the potatoes, you can pick up your potatoes at these locations. South Lake Tahoe, Truckee, and Tahoe City. Easy and fun. And then especially at Truckee, if you have like a lot of more questions, or you want to show me your beautiful potato pictures from past, or ask more questions, I will be in Truckee at the demonstration garden from 9 until 11, talking to all you enthusiastic potato and hopefully sunchoke growers. And then next week will be squash, always, and that's always popular, and then tomatoes, and at the very end, herbs, because you have to have something to put on all the squash and potatoes and herbs. That's why, yeah. All right, and then silliness. So if you want, all these slides will be available sometime soon, uploaded onto our YouTube thing. So this is my very famous vegan, famous vegan potato salad. I don't get any complaints, and my husband really loves it. Good for anybody. Kids don't know that there's not mayonnaise in it, so kind of works well. And that will be available on the slides. Then, sorry, Dave, our resident historian, didn't include that much history, but he'll forgive me, I'm pretty sure. But those are included in the presentation. And if you go to the YouTube thing, you can see the attached slides if you want extra history about where potatoes came from and why Mary Antoinette wore them in her hair to encourage potato growing in France in 18 something or other. Not my thing. The cheat sheets are always going to be included, and if you bought a potato thing, you will get a cheat sheet either by email or attached to your potato bag, both for the potatoes and for, we split it in two. So we split in there's two of them. There's a cheat sheet, but it's kind of beds or containers. So forgive me. And then our new thing, which would be the Sunchoke cheat sheet, which is like, I don't know why you need a cheat sheet. You just throw them in the ground and walk away. But kind of fun to have. One of the other things that I will mention in closing on this is that the sunchokes, if you like rhubarb, they grow really well together. they kind of compete, so they keep each other in check. So kind of fun fact. And on that note, I think that I will turn it back over to Cindy. Sorry.
I think we're going to maybe move it on to Annie if we got any questions, because I'm not seeing any in the chat, that they might have been directed to Annie.
Okay, I am here, but I want to show you one last slide. So just take me a minute to throw up my screen here and do my slideshow. So can you see those?
Loading.
See my
Saying it's
screen?
loading.
Pardon?
The screen is saying it's loading.
It's loading. I'm loading. Okay. We only had a few questions. What? Well, that didn't help. Let me see if I can move this around. There.
Or you could just read it out too.
Okay. Can you see it now? No?
No. I can't. This is Cindy. I can't on my screen.
Okay. Dave, can you see it? No? Alrighty. Well, I'll tell you what this says. I want to thank everyone for presenting, for participating, excuse me, and thank Melissa for a wonderful presentation, and Cindy Wise for doing our moderating, and Sue, can you see this? Oh, hang on. I have to do one thing. Oops. Okay. This, whoop, well, that didn't work. Give me a moment to click. And now you can all unmute yourselves if you like. And I'm hoping my slide will be up there. It's not.
No.
Okay, not sure why, but it gives you Melissa's email. Melissa, can you put your email in the chat?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And if anybody wants to ask questions, please unmute yourself. The recording, Cindy, can you put the YouTube recording in the chat when also?
Okay. I think it's already in there, but I'll put it in again.
Okay, it's UCCE Lake Tahoe Master Gardener.
Yes, it's in there, but we'll put it in again.
Thank you. And if you want to contact master gardeners in general, you can contact Mary Wall at wallclan.com, isn't it? I believe, Mary. And Slow Foods is located at slowfoodlaketahoe.org
Annie,
/events.
Annie, this is Mary.
Thank you.
That's my personal email. That should not be used. It
I'm
should,
sorry.
yeah, it should go to the Master Gardeners at in Lake Tahoe.
Okay.
Though that email is not working right now. So
Okay.
I really apologize for this, all of you participants, but we're having some difficulties with our technical communications with Lake Tahoe Master Gardeners. So
Okay.
just go to our website and hopefully it will be updated soon.
Okay. Thank you, Mary.
Mhm.
You can also contact me at tahoevegtalk@gmail.com. And UC Davis Turk is tahoe.ucdavis.edu. So I'd like to thank our participating agencies for helping us put on this wonderful program, and thank you for participating. So I've unmuted you, so let's go to some questions. Hang on. Few more dots here. There's one question on if I choose to use a grow bag, how large should the bag be? Melissa?
My husband is standing in the background going, enormous. That's not true. Some of the grow bags, if you put maybe 3 seed potatoes, average size, that's about the size. You can put up to 4. You're just going to get less potatoes. And just remember to put them, in that 3-inch. Is surprisingly, but in that 3-inch and then 3 inches over, and then hill up over that. And even that with pots is the same difference. Sorry. Okay, big, about that big. No, that big.
So a large pot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There isn't a rule. How's that?
All right, the next question. Can you elaborate on the pests? Who eats them and who does not? I believe that came prior to you going through those, but
No, and it's different. It is different every year. I mean, if you remember, year before last, we had the huckleberries, and I was convinced that there was a music Prince loving Irish gopher that preferred only purple potatoes. So so it is different, and the most pests that I think are dangerous are the ground squirrels, but they take a while to figure it out. And if you're in containers, you're fine.
okay. Miriam, do you have a question?
Are deer interested in potatoes?
Only for about 5 seconds. Again, the leaves make their stomachs upset. So they'll try it out, but they usually don't come back. And the potatoes will continue to grow, so it doesn't affect your crop particularly.
So what is your opinion of the difference in flavors of each of these potatoes?
That would be a question for James, my husband. But I think that I'm not really a fan of the Peruvian ones. I've said that before, but the white ones, the Constance ones, are really, really creamy and extremely yummy. I have yet to try the Prince of Orange, but I do like ones that have a color on their skin because I like to eat the skin. And I mean, it's a source of antioxidants, so you can't go wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam. Next question. Is there a place where you can buy ladybugs in Tahoe for aphid control?
Tahoe Tree
I don't know.
Company
Yeah. Okay.
used to
Sorry.
sell them.
Here. I don't know.
Hi. Tahoe Tree Company used to sell them, but I don't know if that store is still there because the Tahoe City Public Utility District has moved in, but on the West Shore, so some nurseries may have ladybugs that you can purchase.
Yeah. I just spray them with water. Like,
Okay.
Yeah,
there
I've
is-
seen ladybugs at Aspen Hollow too.
oh,
Okay.
Could you amplify on the spraying them with water deal?
yes.
Do you have to spray them hard enough that sort of knocks the plants over? And do the bugs, after you've sprayed them off, what happens to them? Why don't they just come back?
They go home to their moms, but so in my experience, once they're like, you spray them, I have a jet sprayer on one of those hose mount things, and they don't come back for at least a while. Mind you, they're not damaging the plant horrifically. They're just kind of, you look at your plant and you're discouraged. And also they can be invasive in other more tender plants that you're planting around your potato plants. But essentially, in my experience, if you blast them, the plant falls over, it doesn't break anything. It may be a little bit worse for the wear, but it doesn't hurt your potato crop at all. Is that helpful?
Thank you.
Hopefully?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Next question or comment. Please talk about banana fertilizer again.
Got it. This is my favorite. Okay. You can get a jug anywhere or an old pickle jug. And if you have somebody in your family that eats an exorbitant amount of pickles, double. So you get the pickle jug, wash it out, throw it through the dishwasher, and then throw your banana peels in it, add water, put the lid on, and walk away. And then 3 days later, you take the lid off and you use it as water for your plants. It's really, really simple. And it's tried and true, honestly. It's kind of, and then you take the dried up, icky, yucky bits of banana peel and throw them out, because essentially at that point, no bear is going to want them anyways.
Okay. Another question is, when will the lettuce talk and this presentation be available? We hope, hopefully, by the end of the week. However, it's dependent on our traveling expert. So as soon as he returns, then they will be up.
Can I ask a
on
question?
YouTube. Go ahead.
There was a couple of people last weekend that wanted that missed their peas and beans packets. Can we say that those might possibly be available at some of the locations this weekend?
Yes, that is true. Dave Long is, we have more peas and beans to sell. So if you are looking for some that you didn't pick up, or you want to purchase some now, all of our seed starts are $15, and you get a whole bunch of either plants or seeds, as in the case of the peas and the beans.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all for doing this. My husband was a superb gardener, but he had the nerve to die without educating me adequately. And so you guys are picking up the slack, and helping me to feel like I have slightly educated enthusiasm for continuing our gardening. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that and for being a participant in our great program.
You have a sense of humor, and I think I give you kudos and Valentry for keeping up doing that, because you're keeping him with you by growing stuff, even if he didn't teach you.
Thank you.
Okay, next question. Sorry it took me so long to stop sharing. All right, in the answers there, the our YouTube site is UCCE Lake Tahoe Master Gardeners. And Melissa's email is tahoevegtalk@gmail.com. And
I have another question, if I may.
please. Yes.
You mentioned all these options for growing potatoes that would be swell. What would be your number one choice? You know, in felt bags, in what condition is optimal for growing the potatoes?
I like the question. It really, and it's a hard question because it really depends on what space you have. Like the most fun if you're a new grower is to like have a cat litter bucket with holes drilled in it, or a felt bag, and then plant it and kind of add dirt and then dump it over at the end of the season and see what you get. Because you can move it around and chase the sun because they like sun. Or if you're gonna go on vacation, you can throw it in your car or your RV and drive it with you. But if you're a full-time resident and you have a deck, I think that a raised bed on a deck is probably the most fun, because you get those pretty flowers and you get to see it grow, and you get to add dirt and you know what's going in. And at the end of the season, you get a potato Easter egg hunt. So difficult question. Does that helpful?
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? I'll give you a minute to, are you fanning yourself, David? Thank you, Melissa is. Thank you all very, very much. And if you'd like to join us on Saturday, there may be extra plants available, extra potatoes available. Come by and one of those sites, and you're welcome to purchase them. If you would just like to come by and chat, that is perfectly wonderful. And Melissa will be giving an in-person talk this Saturday at around 10 o'clock over at the Truckee Garden. And thank you all for Melissa, great program. Cindy, yeah. Thank you, Heather. Cindy has been our moderator several times and has been learning and doing a wonderful job. And thank you, Heather. Heather's got her thumb up there, Heather Segal. And we appreciate all of you, and thank you to our contributors and collaborators. I hope you have a wonderful week, and hope to see you all on Saturday.
And
Thank you so much, Annie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Bye,
Cindy.
folks.
Thank you. Great job.
Bye.
Great
Bye.
job. Bye-bye.